Lesson is a house is not a home. As we have already discussed, that houses means your opinions were, and obviously everybody has to agree with it, that a house is made up of bricks, like other material which is used for construction. But home is made up of feelings, emotions, love, affection. Means a home is actually a place which is made up by the people who live in and the feelings they share. So, this is the opinion of everyone as per our last discussion. So, today we are going to read a story about a teenager whose opinion also, matches with us. So, this story reflects the challenges of being a teenager and the problems of growing up at the time of teenage. You can see, yeah, you are also, you may be facing the same problems of, or maybe other problems, but yes, teenage is the most crucial age, and you have many challenges to face. So how does author overcome his problems? That we are going to read today. My first year, so let's begin with his story. What does he say? My first year of high school felt awkward after leaving junior high at the end of my class. With all the seniority the upper grade levels could afford me, it felt strange starting over as a fresh man. No, the author, from what kind of setup of education he has come. There is seniors, high school and junior school, they are different. Okay, so earlier he was in junior school, and you can just take an example. Maybe you can take like the school was till fifth grade, means the senior most class was fifth class. So he was senior most there, right? Junior high, he was obviously in junior school, but high at the head of my class, and he was enjoying the seniority of the upper grade in junior school. Now he had to change the school, and he went to a high school. You can say that he started from maybe sixth from there, and there in new school he was junior, and also he was a fresh person there. And when he changed the school was twice as big as my old school. Means it was very huge. And to make matters worse, my closest friends were sent to a different high school. Now, to his misery, one more thing added, that was that no one from his close friends, and who were his good friends, joined the same school which was joined by the author. So he was sent to a different school. And I felt very isolated. So I felt so alone there, that I didn't find any of my friend there. So you can say there were two problems which this author was facing. One was that he was sent to a new school, and second was that he was not having any old friend over there. Fine, I missed my old teachers so much that I would go back and visit them. Means I was not able to cope up with the new situation. I didn't have friends, I didn't have my old teachers there. So I used to miss my teachers and would go back and visit them frequently. They would encourage me to get involved in school, in new school, more than I had. And they told me actually that what would the teachers do? The teachers would encourage him to get adjusted in new school. So my teachers encouraged me, my old teachers encouraged me to get involved in school activities so that I can get busy, so that I could meet new people, and in this way I would be able to meet new people, means new children, and maybe I would be able to make new friends. They told me that in time I would adjust and probably end up loving my new school more than I had my old one. And my teachers suggested me that maybe you means there will be a time, if you adjust yourself well in your new school, maybe you will end up loving your new school more than you love your junior school. They made me promise that when that happened, I would still come by and visit them from time to time. And my teachers promised me that even if I start loving my new school more than my old school, then also I could come and meet my old teachers whom I liked. Now, I understood the psychology in what they were saying. I have already understood that what was the purpose behind saying these encouraging words to me, because my old teachers wanted me to adjust in new school and start loving it. But I took some comfort in it nonetheless. Still means I understood that what was the psychology behind it, means when my teachers were encouraging me, were motivating me to get involved in the activities in new school. Still, nonetheless means still I used to feel good when my teachers used to tell me all these things. Now, one Sunday afternoon, not long after I had started high school, I was sitting at home at our dining room table doing homework. It was a cold and windy fall day. Means it was really cold day and the snow was falling and there was wind outside. And we've had a fire going in our fireplace. You know very well that in colder regions, the people have to keep fire burning at fireplace so that they can keep their house warm. So there we had a fire going on in our fireplace. As usual, my red tabby cat was lying on top of all my papers, purring loudly and occasionally sweating at my pen for entertainment's sake. Now, through this line, we came to know that author had a pet cat, and that pet cat used to sit, means as usual it was the habit of cat to sit on the top of my papers and then purring loudly. Purring is the sound which is produced by the cats, as we say that dogs bark, and in the same way the cats also produce a kind of voice, a kind of sound which is called purring. So it was purring loudly and occasionally, means uh, after some time she used to do what, she used to beat or you can say hit at my pen for entertainment sake. She it used to hit on my pen, means the cat was playing. She was never far from me. I had rescued her when she was a kitten. The cat was very fond of me because I had rescued her, means I had saved her life when she was a small cat, she was a kitten. And somehow she knew that I was the one responsible for giving her the good life. And she knew that I had rescued her, I had saved her, and now the life she was leading, a good life, that was due to me. I gave her that life. My mother kept stoking the fire to keep the house nice and warm. We all know that if the fire is burnt, then you have to adjust the wood pieces over there or the sticks which are there. So my mother was adjusting the wood pieces or those sticks which were being burnt, and she was adjusting it just to keep the house warm. Suddenly, I smelled something strange. So at that time, means all of a sudden, I noticed that there was something strange. Smoke pouring in through the seams of the ceiling. Now, ceiling is, you can say that everybody knows that that when we are top of the house, then it is called roof. When you are in the room, then you call that roof a ceiling. So seams means the gaps or joints where maybe the blocks are joined to make a roof, or maybe the wood pieces are there. So wherever there is gap, through those gaps, through the seams of the ceiling, smoke was coming in. Smoke began to fill the room so quickly that we could barely see, and the speed of that smoke means smoke was traveling, smoke was coming in, and the speed was so fast that suddenly our room was full of smoke and we could hardly see anything. So we could hardly see because the room was filled with smoke. Groping. Now, what is the meaning of groping? uh, when there is dark, suppose you are sitting in the room and suddenly the electricity goes off, then how do you find the things? With the help of your hands, you try to find the things, or you try to find the way to where means to where to proceed. When we are not able to see, means we as you can see in this text, the author and his mother are surrounded by the smoke. So they're trying to find their way to move out of the room by groping means with the use of their hands they are trying to find their way. Our way to the front door. We all ran out into the front yard, means the attached area to the house. So we ran in the front yard. By the time we made our way outside, the whole roof was engulfed. Engulfed means surrounded, means whole roof was covered with, surrounded with flames. Flames, you all of you know that, burning of fire. So all the area, means all the roof, the whole of roof was engulfed, was covered with flames, and it was spreading quickly. The fire was spreading quickly. I ran to the neighbors to call the fire department while I watched my mother run back into the house. Now, you see how shocking it was for the author when he ran to the neighbor's house so that they could make a call to the fire department to send some, vehicles having water to call fire brigade. Then I saw that my mother was running back into the house. My mother then ran out of the house. After some time, my mother came out of the house carrying a small metal box full of important documents. She dropped the case on the lawn and, in a crazed state, ran back into the house. No, it was quite surprising that once my mother, when she came out with a small metal box and which was having, important documents of ours, she dropped it in the lawn, means she threw it there, and again in a crazy state, she ran back into the house. I knew what was she after, and I knew why she has gone into the house once again. My father had died when I was young. and I was certain that she was not going to let his pictures and letters go up in flames. And I now the author says that when I was quite young, I had lost my father, and I was sure that my mother was not to going to let the pictures, means those albums, you can say, or the pictures of his dad, and the letters which were sent to his mother by his father. So those pictures and letters of his father were not cannot be, or could not be allowed to burn in the flames. So I knew that my mother has ran back into the house to get those pictures, to get those letters of my father. They were the only things that she had to remember him by, because these things were the memories of my father, and she couldn't let it go like in the fire. Still, I screamed at her. No, but obviously I knew that why my mother was going in the house. But yes, I was afraid. So I screamed, so I shouted at her, "Mom, no." I was about to run after her when I felt a large hand hold me back. Now, I was so afraid that I was about to run after my mother to save her, to stop her. And I felt that there was a large hand which stopped me from doing that. And whose hand was it? It was a fireman behind me. I hadn't even noticed that the street had already filled with the fire trucks. I was so, worried about my mother. I was lost in the thoughts that I didn't notice that already fire trucks have arrived. I was trying to free myself from his grasp. Grasp means grip, that hold of the fireman. I was trying to make myself free from his clutches, from his grasp, yelling. I was shouting, "You don't understand. My mother is in there." I, I shouted at fireman and told him, what did I say when I shouted? I said, "You don't understand. You don't know. Well, my mother is in there." He held on to me. Still, he kept on holding me while other firefighters ran into the house. He knew that I was not acting very logically. Means what I was going to do was not logical, was not going to work, and that if he were to let go, I would run. And he knew that if he would leave me, then I would run away. And he was right. "It's all right. They'll get her," he said. Now who are they here? The other firemen who have already started the work of extinguishing fire. He wrapped a blanket around me and sat me down in our car. And he made me sit in the car and tried to make me comfortable. Soon after that, a fireman emerged, means come out. Soon after that, a fireman come out of our house. As you can see in the picture, it's clear firemen are working, they are trying to put out the fire, right? There is a fireman who is trying to hold a child. This is author, right? So the work has already started. So people who are at the left maybe are their neighbors. Fine. So what happened after that? My mom in tow. So, what were they doing? People were coming out and pulling my mother outside. They were taking out my mother. Means now I realize that my mother was safe. Tow means pull. So they were pulling out my mother. He quickly took her over to the truck and put an oxygen mask on her because my mother was running out of breath, as she was not able to breathe. So they provided oxygen mask to my mother. I ran towards my mother, and I hugged her. I embraced her. All those times I ever argued with her, now I realized there were many times when I had arguments with my mother. I was not in agreement with her, and I had arguments with her sometimes, and hated her vanished at the thought of losing her. And I used to argue with my mother, and I didn't like the way she vanished, means she got out of my sight, she vanished. And means what happened actually at the time of realizing that now he had got his mother back, she she was there with oxygen mask, and author was afraid with the thought of losing her. Now he realized that I was wrong when I used to argue with my mother, and I was too afraid that what would happen to me if I lose my mother in such kind of accident or with any reason. So I was quite afraid. So I was quite afraid at the thought of losing my mother. She is going to be okay, said the fireman. She just inhaled a little smoke. Fireman tried to console me by saying that she is going to be fine, and there is problem in breathing just because she has inhaled, because some smoke has entered in and through her mouth and nose, so that's why she is feeling uneasy. And then he ran back to fight the fire while my mother and I sat there dazed. My mother and I were shocked, means all the things happened so suddenly. He was doing his homework, mother was adjusting the fire, and suddenly they found that their house is burnt. And obviously these things were shocking for them. I remember watching my house burn down and thinking that there was nothing I could do about it. Now the author says that he had a feeling of being helpless. He couldn't do anything except looking at the house burning down. Just try to, I would say, just try to put yourself in the place of author and feel how he was feeling at that time, right? So you would definitely feel that it was really miserable for him to see his house burning down. 5 hours later, the fire was finally out. Our house was almost completely burned down. But then it struck me. Now the writer says that I saw that my house was totally burned down. And suddenly one idea came in my mind, the one thought came in my mind. Where is my cat? I hadn't seen my cat. Where was my cat? Much to my horror, I realized that she was nowhere to be found. Then all at once it hit me. The new school, the fire, my cat. I broke down in tears and cried and cried. I was suffering loss big time. Obviously, this was a great loss. Now, all the things came one by one in his mind. That new school, I am already suffering there. I am not able to cope up with the new environment. Then this fire means my home is burnt. And then my pet, whom I loved so much, is out of my sight, is vanished. Maybe she is dead. So I broke out in the tears. I started crying, and I was at that time suffering from big losses. It was really a huge loss for me.